Hi, everybody. This is Dualistic Unity Reel with Jackie and Amanda. Jackie is on her way, I imagine, but I thought it's 4 p.m. Why not just go live at the scheduled time and see what happens? Because, I don't know exactly where or how everything is unfolding, but I know that I'm here, we're live, and we're gonna make the most of it. So, hi everybody, happy Friday. I have just been working all day, so it hasn't felt like the most fun Friday, but I have been kicking butt, which feels fun in its own way. So certainly, certainly have been spending my time. Let me text Jackie and just see if I might be able to get an update via text, and then I can get back to rambling because who doesn't appreciate a good ramble? Do, 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 do. And by the way, Jackie can join anytime, even if I start it. She can jump in at any point. All right, text message sent. So, yeah. Right now, I am house sitting, cat sitting for a friend. And I went for a walk this morning because, they live on such a beautiful property. And I've been working and sleeping a lot lately, but I thought, I'm not going to be here forever, and why not go for a walk? Why not enjoy the new environment now that I'm in it? And then I'll be back in my normal bubble soon enough, and then we'll go for the walks around the old neighborhood. But for now, we are exploring new lands and making the most of it. And I'm also wearing my favorite shirt today. Well, not the favorite shirt, but one of my favorite shirts. And I love the brightness and the colors. I've been feeling not so bright lately just because I've been judging a lot of the way that I juggle. And I definitely didn't need to, but we judged anyways. And so I've been feeling very overwhelmed and critical, self-critical, and frustrated, and letting go of that more and more over the past few days. So it is such a process, the ebb and flow. And sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world, and sometimes you feel like you're being crushed by it. But you are your world. And so, you know, what is being on top of the world, if not just not being in such direct conflict with between your reality and the concept of yourself? And being crushed by it is only being crushed by the concept by which you created. So I am trying to look at the chat, but I cannot. So it really feels like a one-way conversation. But what I can do, because there's always a way to pivot, is I can pull up the live on my phone, and I can see the comments at least through there, and then I can chat through there as well. But it'll be under my account and not Dualistic Unity. But say lovey, you do the best with what you can, because I make the most of what's available, and what's available is my chat on my phone through my single profile, and what's not available is the chat through Restream. You guys don't know, but I'm about to tell you, my camera was not working at the beginning when I was first setting up, and then I restarted my computer, and the camera's working, but the chat's not. And I'm like, damn, we already started the live. I can't restart the computer again, not this soon. So let me get my at least my phone chat game up together. Haven't heard from Jackie just yet, but if I do hear from her, I'll definitely share the update with you guys. And if she's not able to join us today for whatever reason, totally fine. I'll just be on here for probably, maybe like a half hour or 20 more minutes or something like that, and then we'll continue to do our house sitting, cat sitting / work from home juggling. But I wonder if what's going on. Do-do-do-do-do. But things are not Oh, there it is. Excellent. Oh my God. Hi, Jazz. Hi, Demir. Hi. Excellent. Yankee. I hope I said that right. And if I didn't, I am so sorry. But yeah, I get to chat with you guys a little bit. So if anybody has any topics or anything that they want to bring up, please let me know. Oh my God, I think you guys heard the phone. This is what barely keeping it together looks like, people. It is not pretty, or it is not organized for sure. It is just poorly juggling things. But then again, there's the judgment of how we juggle, and that's such a default. And it's such a default that I don't even realize how fast I can fall back into that default setting. But at least, there's enough space to see that and then to say, oh, yeah, all right. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you enjoy my madness, Jazz. I certainly love it, but not always. I was just complaining the other day because I definitely complained, and I was complaining about office politics. And I was thinking to myself as I was complaining about it that sometimes I fucking love it. I love office politics, but that's usually when I feel like I'm winning, right? And so when we feel like things are not going in our way, we're like, I don't like this game anymore. I think that's so funny. But at least now it's funny because certainly it feels like hair pulling, frustrating levels. And but I know that I'm not the only one who feels this and dances in this ebb and flow of feeling like you are kicking ass and nothing can stand in your way, and feeling like a feather could knock you over if it touched you. It's something that we all go through, and it's very easy to forget when you're on that quote unquote high. But I'm so glad that there is this space, and the dualistic community is that space for ourselves and each other, and it's really beautiful that we're able to just share this experience, because we are all connected and more in so many ways, and we are connected in the shared experience, even when it feels like it's like life is only happening to you, not for you, but happening to you, and but it's a universally shared experience, feeling like you're the only one. But then talking about it is say it just lifts such a weight, just being able to share that, and to hear how other people are dancing and pivoting and upgrading, or not upgrading, but evolving their pivots into pirouettes. So I absolutely love that. It's wonderful. Oh, let's see. This week I was so energetic and positive, but right now I'm like, I don't want anything. Oh, all right. Yeah, no, oh my goodness, I definitely relate to that. It's just feeling super, super optimistic and super excited and motivated and curious. And then to go from that to like, I don't even know if I could find the motivation to get out of bed or to have a conversation with a friend, with a dear friend. And it's it almost feels like they don't go together, but of course they do, because where would the appreciation for those super optimistic or motivated moments, where would the appreciation or the deep appreciation for that come from, it if not for remembering when that wasn't so apparent, when that wasn't so clear? I love the expression by William Shakespeare, was like, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I do feel that way about, like, we could replace those words, like better to have learned and forgotten, better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all. Like, you could switch out the word love and lost for any combination, and it feels just as true. Better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all. I'd much rather that than to worry so much about failing that I never even try. And even if I fall flat on my face, that doesn't mean anything about the attempt and doesn't mean anything about the attemptor. It was just an attempt that didn't go the way that you maybe imagined. And because it doesn't match our imagination, our assumption, our expectation, we think that it's a failure. But it's not a failure with the negative connotation that that word usually brings with it. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jazz. We're always doing the best we can, and it always helps to remember that. Oh, oh my goodness. It is such a trippy experience because it just feels like I was laughing the other day when I was chatting with Jackie when we were recording our episode on Wednesday, and I was just like, I'm so I'm just right in the middle of judging the way that I juggle things because I'm like, we're aware, we've been working on ourselves. Like, how are we still getting so caught up? How does it feel? So why do I feel so engulfed by getting caught up in the concept of myself and thinking that I shouldn't be where I'm at and judging what is, and because there's to some degree there's an expectation that I should know better. It feels like such an old lesson that I learned or that I was introduced to when I was younger, where you would do something, and when your parents would yell at you, in my experience, they would say, you shouldn't have done that because you know better. Right. So to some degree, at this age, at 32, I think, oh, I shouldn't feel depressed, or I shouldn't feel down, or I shouldn't feel caught up in the concept of Amanda because I should know better by now. And like, you should know better. Like, what a early seed of resistance that was planted that I still water. And so no wonder the plant is thriving. No, man. If you want to see different plants in your garden, try watering a different batch. Because what you water grows, and I guess water in this metaphor is attention. I'm just checking out the comments again because I can't see them on the computer, so I have to look like I'm not here anymore, guys. I'm on my phone for a much more important conversation in the comments. But that is all of you, so I'm really glad that we're here, and I appreciate you guys joining me, and I know other people will listen to this afterwards, and no matter when you listen, it's still, I'm so glad that you showed up for yourself, because you had no idea like who would be here, right? I didn't think that that it would just be me, like at this particular moment, and I didn't think that I'd be rambling and that I wouldn't have access to the comments. Like, you had no idea what you were showing up for, but you showed up because you were interested. And so in my opinion, that means that you showed up because you showed up for you. And I'm so glad, because I went live at 4. For me, I had no idea if anybody would even be watching. I was just like, well, welcome to the show, everybody. It's me. And laughing through it, because although the option is I could be mad, or I could be sad, or I could be disappointed, like, it just feels like it is comical, because I'm not taking it so seriously. And although a piece of me thinks maybe we should take it seriously, like, now you're a co-host, now you're supposed to be a professional, and it's like, yeah, but we're talking about dealing with the shit, and so at some point we're going to be dealing with the shit live. And that doesn't always look its most professional, because professional people and civilized people, they don't go through things. They're just always regulated according to the societal template, and that seems so unrealistic, that you can't even display the full range of your emotions because some of them don't have the seal of approval. And yet you can't ever get rid of the full spectrum. You can't bury them, because what you bury rises to the surface. That reminds me of the saying, what doesn't come out in the wash comes out in the rinse. Like, eventually the dirt moves. Like, you're gonna see it at some point. You can, but I'm gonna take one more look at the comments and just see what's going on. Mm, yeah, it is what it is. And I'm reading Jazz's quote right now, but it is what it is. And if I'm seeing it, that's all I can do. And I don't even need to do that. Andrew's idea of saying to myself, I want to think about myself, has been helping. Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Um, Oh, thanks, Hugo. If the cool shirt was meant for this cool shirt, I saw this at like a discounted store that sells a lot of like fast fashion, and I saw this shirt from like across the room, and it was like $3, right? And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I love this shirt. I love it because it's so bright. It's so bright, but it does remind me of Arthur, and I think his rabbit friend, I forget the rabbit was white, and I know Arthur always had like an all yellow shirt, but I feel like the rabbit Buster, was his name Buster? I feel like he had a shirt, if not identical to this, like very much like this. And so I love getting into like my Buster shirt. We're here to bust some illusions, people. No, 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 it's not that serious. We're busting through expectations and assumptions today. Bang, bang, motherfucker. But no, no. We're just like a colorful shirt, and we put it on because it was in the bag. We packed it. So, um, but that is fun too. How clothing can be another medium of expression. And so people have made political activist statements with their clothing, or change or challenge gender norms and expectations. And so it's wonderful that clothing is just another means of communication. And although sometimes you don't need to be implying anything with what you're wearing, sometimes you can be very intentional and have and create a possible impact. So I do love that about clothing. It's not just the words you say, it's sometimes the clothing that you wear, the way that you spend your money, the way that you spend your time and attention. Like we communicate, or the way that you don't, because not communicating is a form of communication. Not making a decision is you making that choice to not get directly involved. So it is amazing in all the ways that we communicate, and yet words get the biggest focus. It's like if there was a stage, and the methods of communication were on that stage, words and speaking would get a lot of talk time. But I was reading years and years ago that about 70 to 80%, it's estimated, is nonverbal communication. And it's not the words that people are saying, it's the tone of voice, it's the intonation, it's the pauses as they speak, it's the way that they express themselves with their hands, it's their body language. Are their feet pointed towards you? Are they looking at you in the eye? Are they relaxed with an open, placement of their limbs? Or are they crossed their arms? Are they looking at you? Or like there's so much that we communicate, and a lot of it doesn't really get registered, or people don't take it as a consideration. And that's why I love meeting in person, and I love connecting at the DU retreats. And we're going to have one in Virginia. I wonder, can the QR code still work? Let's find out, people. Let's see, drum roll please. Yes. Excellent. So we've got our Virginia retreat in February 1st through February 5th. And then we have the California retreat, and that'll be in April. That'll be amazing. But these in-person retreats, they really do provide such an opportunity to connect with yourself, and to connect with other people who are not trying to convince you of anything about yourself or about them. So there's something so magical about the times that you spend in person with people. And as much as I love the new methods of technology, or of communicating, like Zoom and phone calls and text messages, like as much as I love that, there is nothing like sitting across the table from somebody and looking into their eyes and listening to them and hearing their laugh and being in the room with their laugh and being in the room with them. There's nothing that can replace or be at that same level, possibly is the word. But there are some good options out there. So nothing against phone calls and text messages and emails, but just I really value in-person quality time, and try to remind people that despite COVID kind of encouraging us to stay away from people physically, um, it's worth getting back into that and building that skill set again, because people forgot how to be with people. And of course we did. We were required to be apart from each other. But I think it is worth considering learning how to do again, because something about it, man, that I feel is incredibly special. And everything else is just in addition to that. I don't think that other ways of communicating should completely replace in-person time. But we don't really have walkable cities, right? So that makes it hard. You want to go see a friend, and it's gonna take you 20 minutes to drive to their place, and you have to stop to get gas. And then, if you wanted to add going to the grocery store, now you're driving 20 minutes out of the way on the way back or something. Like, going to spend an hour with somebody will take you sometimes 3 hours total if you've got like a 20-minute commute. And what if you get stuck in traffic? So, that's another barrier to the way that we connect, is because our cities make it so hard to walk to go see a friend. Sometimes you have to jump through hoops and go over the hill and through the woods, to grandmother's house we go. And we might visit grandma more often if she was right down the block, or if there was the public transportation was better. Because some cities are phenomenal in America, not in America, but in the United States. Um, and I say not America, and it's not that I don't acknowledge that the United States is called America sometimes, but I was listening to a TikTok, and somebody made an excellent point, and they were like, imagine if one of the Avengers just decided to call themselves the Avenger, and you're like, wait a minute, so this country decided to just say that it is America, despite the fact that it shares the continent with Canada and Mexico. And so isn't the whole isn't this North America? Like, isn't the whole thing America? So I think it's so funny that most people, when they're talking about the US, will say America. And I was like, yeah, but it's not just the US that is America. But it's just so funny. And when somebody made that analogy, or wasn't it? And they were like, imagine if one of the Avengers just decided to change their name. It was like, you know what, now guys, I am the Avenger. You guys can't be the Avengers anymore, because now that's my name. Like, that would never fly. It'd be like, I'm sorry, Mr. Iron Man. No, I'm just kidding. Not that it would be him, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think they would let that fly if because it sounds so ridiculous. But but the US does shit like that all the time, where we're like, you know what? Screw everybody else. We're really America. Everyone else is just Canada, and our we're just sharing the block with them. But they're adjacent America, right? Oh my goodness. Oh, let me check the comments. Let me check the comments. Oh my goodness. No, I'm definitely not Ray or Andrew. And I barely have a social media presence. I am like 95 years old living in a 32-year-old body. I'm like, the tiki taki, we have to share on there? It's like, it might be worth considering, Amanda, now that you're a co-host. Maybe. I'm just saying. And I will, but I'm in no rush, because I'm juggling working full time in a corporate setting, and then working full time for DU, and then dealing with personal challenges and family, and trying to manage, my I guess my habits, and my health, and my diet, and meal prepping. And so there is a lot. And so for me, I'm not super motivated to jump on social media, but thankfully Andrew has made some clips, and so we will at least start with those clips, and then go live by myself on my social soon. But we're live here now, and so this might be also a video for some clips. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Jazz writes, Iron Man do be kind of self-involved, and I'm like, exactly, that's why I used him for the punchline, even though it's totally um BS, that joke. I just but when that person gave that example, I was like, oh my god, that is exactly what the US did. We were the United States of America, and they were like, let's shorten that. It's like, yeah, but to shorten that is to, like, not acknowledge that there are other Americas on the same continent and then in a neighboring southern continent. So you're like, I swear we act the US, it feels like, from my perspective, acts like it's the only person in the room, and also acts like it's the martyr, or maybe not the martyr, but the victim of the room. So it's like, that's impressive that you can act like you're the only person whose feelings matter, but at the same time act like everyone is bullying you. And it's like, yeah, but I thought you were the only one here. Like, we don't exist to be the bad guy. So if you're the only one that, if you're the only thing that matters, but that's just an expression of selfishness. I know I've been seeing a lot of on my feed. I've been seeing a lot more lately of people talking about gender roles and how men are saying that women are out of control, and vice versa. Women are saying that men are out of control, or that they're toxic, and it's like, is it the gender that's toxic, or genders that are toxic, or it's just a toxic mindset? It's just a selfish mindset. It really doesn't matter what's between your legs, because if you're acting selfishly, you're going to try to fuck over everyone around you, and you're going to do it thinking that you're just doing what's best for you, and it doesn't matter the cost to everyone else around you. And so I don't really think it matters what's in between your legs, because I've seen people of both genders and no genders and all genders acting selfishly. I don't think it's either gender that's truly, more toxic than the other. I think it's a very toxic, selfish, separate mindset that is pervasive in our culture, and it's expressed in all people. And so, but I used to be very like, like screw everyone, but in particular screw men. And so I definitely had that perspective, because a lot of my direct personal experiences were not the most pleasant, and it just felt like I might have been born on the wrong team. And now it doesn't feel like I'm born on the wrong gender team. It just feels like the whole team is selfish. The whole team is going through some shit, and the whole team is trying to figure out which subset of the team they can pin it on, because who doesn't love a scapegoat in a selfish, mindset, or a selfish, it's you'd rather blame someone else than take responsibility for the fact that you co-contributed to the unpleasantness that you experience. And that's not always something that you do intentionally, because like, who in their right mind would ever torture themselves? Like, it's so it makes sense that you pick on yourself, and you're hard on yourself, and you judge yourself without even noticing that you're doing it, because like, I just don't think that we would naturally want to hurt ourselves, with total awareness. Like, I'm aware that I don't have to do this, but we're gonna shove that blade and just twist it. But we are 100% aware, and this is what we're like. It just doesn't feel like you would do that knowingly, but that you would, without meaning to, limit yourself, doubt yourself, judge yourself. It just feels like it happens right under our nose. And when you can have a moment to see it, instead of judging that you did it right, because then I was saying this to Jackie the other day, and I was like, it's sometimes we see the sliver, because there's no way that any one person sees the whole picture. If we're saying that the whole picture is all of consciousness and all of awareness and all of reality, if that is what we're going to say in this example right now is the whole picture, there's no way that any one individual perspective sees the whole picture. So at best, you're looking at a sliver. And then we don't always even look at the sliver. We look at our perception of our sliver. And then sometimes we look at a perception of that perception. And the perception of the perception, in my opinion, is the awareness that you are, for a moment, recognizing how you judge yourself, and how that is a barrier in your ability to take in what you are and what's going on around you. You judge that unawareness. Because I've done that. That's why I thought earlier this week, this very single week, I was like, damn, we should know better, right? And so that thought, I should know better, is what I consider the perception of the sliver. is that I'm aware enough to know that we're not always looking at the sliver, and then I judge that. And I did judge that, and I'm in the middle of letting that go. And what do I mean by letting it go? I don't even know what I mean by letting it go. It just feels like it's not the main point of focus. And that's as best as letting go, I guess I could describe. Because it doesn't feel like even when I let things go, that they're just deleted from existence. And if they're not deleted from existence, then they're always accessible. And so when I let things go, it's not that I let it go into the abyss and it's just gone forever, is that I let go of something that's I'm zoomed in and I'm so focused on. And then if I'm not so focused on it, I can just move my attention somewhere else. And moving my attention somewhere else is one way to describe letting go, at least for the moment. We'll see what I say next week, or even how I feel in 5 minutes, because things can change so rapidly. And at least they can change more rapidly when I'm not copying and pasting so fastly and so fervently, so like fanatically. I'm not copying and pasting to feel better. I'm going to take one more look at the comments, or not one more, not like it's the last one, but we're going to take another look right now. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's Jazz comments. It's interesting how often I've used improvement as a goal without realizing it's actually rooted in self judgment. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. It's the self judgment, man. It's a default setting. It's a default setting. Especially when I think that there's a self to judge, which I think is the most absurd part about it, because I'm like, shit, where does Amanda end? It's like, I don't know. Where does she really begin? I, I don't know. I don't know. Makes me uncomfortable to think about that. Then you're like, yeah, but not thinking about it, you're also uncomfortable. So it's like, are we ever just not uncomfortable? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. And that's the best answer that I can come up with, right? And I say that the best answer, like, what was the question? Like, what is happening? Why is it happening? Who am I? Where am I? Like, all those questions. Yeah, and questions tend to lead to more questions. And answers aren't really answers, because answers imply like that you have this answers almost imply that you have like a total knowledge on a subject, and your answer is encompassing that understanding, and it answers the question of uncertainty. But if maybe our answers aren't so absolute, and at best our answers are just a calculated guess, a calculated assumption, because so many times that we've asked the same question and we've come up with different answers, right? So then again, so one question doesn't have just one answer, and then like, well, what makes the ultimate answer? It's like, well, then what makes the ultimate question? And it's like, oh shit, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there ever could be an ultimate question, which makes me think of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, when they create the machine that gives the ultimate answer. Is it that it gives the ultimate answer first, and then they come up with a machine that, or the machine that comes up with the ultimate answer? Yeah, that's what it is. I think I saw the movie, but I didn't read the book. And I think I remember in the movie that they create this robot, this machine, this computer, and the computer gives the ultimate answer, and it's like it doesn't make sense to us, and we're like, okay, but the machine, the computer tells us, well, you need to come up with the ultimate question, but I'll make that because you guys would fuck that up. And I was like, I wouldn't doubt that. But then like the ultimate question isn't the question we thought it was. And so, and if my memory is incorrect, please let me know. Jazz, that's a question, or that's a check-in with you. Cause I believe, or I think I remember that you did read the book and you highly recommend it. And so you might be able to let me know if our recollection is accurate, or if it is just full of a hypothetical alternative. Hmm. Oh my goodness. Hey, Andrew. Oh, hey, Stacy. Oh my goodness. I love it. Yeah. So, we are not. we're making the most of all of these surprises. I'm gonna check the chat again. Does it work? It's loading. It's still loading. I'm I'm just gonna let it do its thing and see if anything changes. But but yeah, no, and quick update, I haven't heard from Jackie just yet, but I think she's working. That woman is always she's always busy and I love it. But I think she is working because I'm still working as well. But we took a late lunch and we're doing our live now. And then after this, we'll jump back into our computer. Maybe we'll go for a walk before it gets dark because it gets dark so quickly. But thankfully, every day is getting longer and every night is getting shorter since the winter solstice on December 21st. And so I love that. I love that we know that. And I think it's so interesting that we figured that out before we had like advanced tools. And it's like, how the hell did we figure out how to map the stars before we had like legit telescopes? And it's like somehow, man, somehow we figured it out. And maybe it was just looking, just paying attention, just giving it attention, and collectively putting our attention to the stars. Maybe we were able to just, you know, maybe that contributed to us being able to do something before, we had the benefits of modern technology. Because I think we have so many tools now and people are getting lost in corners. And I use that expression because it would almost seem impossible to get lost in a corner, right? But yet somehow it seems like somebody makes that expression feel real. Like you get lost in a corner. Like just turn around. Just turn around and walk out of that corner. But that seems like such an impossible option if all you know, if all you've been exposed to, and if all you have experienced is just looking into that corner, you may not even imagine that anything exists outside of that. And so what seems so nonsensical to someone else who's never been stuck in a corner, like how do you get stuck in a corner? It's like, well, get born in that corner and look at nothing else. And it wouldn't be so easy to just turn around, but it's we get stuck in corners more often than not, and in many ways. But the expectation is to just always have it together, to never get lost, to never doubt yourself, and that's just so impossible. But we can certainly talk about it and share experience and share maybe ways that helped us, which don't always apply to everyone. So as much as I love a good brainstorming session. I love it. I love a good brainstorming session. um, and really I love the brainstorming session because I love to be able to hear someone's ideas and then build off of it, or vice versa. And but I used to, when I was younger, I used to love to give advice because I used to love to tell myself that I knew what was better for someone else, because at that point in my life, I thought I knew what was best for me. So I was like, oh, well, I'm an expert on what's best for Amanda. So I know how to put my template onto you and to let you know what's best for you. And that was such an ego trip. I used to love that. And now I I give advice in such a different from such a different mindset now, because I recognize that anything that I tell you is a poor substitute for what you could tell yourself. And the reason I say that is because, you know, when I was talking about like looking at a sliver and having a perception of that sliver, if I'm thinking about someone else's like quote unquote perspective in the sliver, I am getting like the least. I have the least amount of information to give you advice from, because I haven't lived your life. I don't know what it is to wake up like you, to live your life as yourself, as you are changing and growing and evolving. Like I have no idea what that is really like, and so for me to tell you what to do or to give you advice, I have no idea how that advice is gonna get applied, and I have no idea how that application is going to change you. And so when I give advice now, it's more so that I ask more questions, so that we can maybe co-create space for you to come up with your next best step. Because if there's anybody who's going to be able to give you the best option, maybe not the best, you know, uh, solution, like risk-free option. There is no such thing as a risk-free option, in my opinion, but at least the best option for the moment is going to come from you, because you're you're taking in all the considerations that have led up to that moment, and you're the person that's going to apply this option and live with it, whether you have a good opinion or a pleasant or an unpleasant opinion about your next choice or next move. Like, you're the one that has to live with it. So there is no one better to come up with it. And even if, let's say, we real world example, everybody, we are at a job, we don't like it, right? That's pretty relatable. And we're at a fork in the road in our minds, and we're thinking about quitting our job, and we're thinking about staying at the job that we currently have. And within those two options are sub options. You could stay at that job and try to negotiate a raise. You could stay at that job and make a lateral move and go into a new department. You could stay at that job and maybe do an internship for a different department, or you go for a promotion and you get it and you get the raise, you get more responsibility and all that. So you could do all that if you stayed at the current option, or you could leave. And within that is the sub option of, I could leave my current job and I could start a business. I could leave my current job and go work for someone else. I could leave my job and not work and live off my savings for a little while. Like, there are so many options within the umbrella option that you pick. And the best person who's going to give you advice on how you would like to move forward is you. Because I could say all the things I just said. We could make staying at your job the best, or not the best, but we could make the most of it. Or, I could do a pros and cons list of leaving. I could also do a third, where you stay at your current job and you get another job on the side, or you start a business on the side, or you start traveling more, you join a book club, all this. Like, there are infinite combinations. But since I'm not the one that's going to be living it, where I suggest, or where I think you might be happiest, is an assumption, and it's not the best assumption that you have available to you. Because although I don't know and you don't know how things are going to unfold for you, you still have the best ability to move yourself forward in a way that feels authentic to you. And it feels authentic to you because it came from you. And although you may like how someone else thinks, or you may like how someone else navigates themselves, with their navigating, with their considerations for their life and their priorities. If you don't have the same priorities and the same considerations, then doing a copy and paste for how someone else lives their life is a 50-50 shot if that's gonna be able to work for you. So it's not that you can't be inspired by people. It's not that you can't ask people what they think. It's just all, I guess, maybe just a reminder that um, their contribution to your thought process, to the planning and the considering, their contribution is valuable, but not more valuable than the contribution that you make when you're thinking about where you should go, because you're living your life. So who best to guide where that life goes next? At least that's where I'm feeling right now. And um, yeah. I'm gonna take a quick look at the comments and see what's up. Oh, I love that, Stacy. Stacy says, being open to the possibilities is step one. Oh, and I did get it. Yes. So I love it. I love it. That's dope. I was like, damn, am I remembering? I was like, it has been a while, and the book will be better because the book is always better. Oh, I have someone at the door. I'm going to mute it. Let's find out. Oh my God, that was a mail delivery. That's awesome. So I'm house sitting, and I went to go look for the mailbox today, and I had a little bit of trouble, and I was like, oh, that's okay. We'll go look for it tomorrow. Um, and but there was another friend of the homeowner that was house sitting, cat sitting before I got here, and so they've been collecting it all week. And so if I had found the mailbox today, it would have been empty. Hilarious, hilarious. But I got a special delivery of mail. Oh my goodness, makes me think of Blue's Clues. Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna yell mail. I used to love all the cartoons, especially if they had like a good like energy, and they had great songs and great music. Like that sticks in my brain. Like we remember the jams. We love to jam. What can I say? We came from a good jam time, you know. And it was just fantastic. I loved all those shows. Like, anybody remember Reading Rainbow? Oh my God, that was fantastic. Or Bob Ross, or just so many good shows on PBS. Like, I remember seeing reruns of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I loved it. Like, definitely, so many of those shows had an impact on the way that I perceived myself even then, and they still do. But now they're all those childhood memories, and all those shows are filtered through the perceptions that I have now. And so there is a lot of affection for those songs and those memories, and I appreciate them in so, in different for different reasons now. Like, I guess an example is, like, before, I used to appreciate them because, like, it helped me build confidence and have and recognize my value, and now I appreciate that those, I guess the perspective that I have now is, I appreciate that those songs helped me appreciate reality, that they helped me develop an appreciation for life, and to value expressions of life, and that doesn't just include me. And so when I think back to those shows and the lessons that I learned from them, they apply more broadly now, and more wholly, more completely. For the moment, talk to me tomorrow, we might be raging, we might be furious, who knows? But at least at the moment, I do have an appreciation for life, even when it doesn't feel pleasant. I have an appreciation for myself, even when I'm not impressed, or even if I'm not, even if I don't like what I did, in my opinion. So it's it's uh it's a full experience, a full spectrum. It's it seems funny to me now that when I was in high school, I used to say that life is a complete package, and you can't get the good without the bad. So so we shouldn't be so surprised when we see the bad, because it's just a part of the deal. And I said that kind of more like begrudgingly, like, oh, hey, guess who came to join? Oh, snap.
Hello.
Hi.
Suddenly there's two Amandas.
What will the world do?
Right? No shit. I just realized that you're fielding this live stream alone. And so I figured I'd jump in here for the last little bit. You were talking about appreciation. And so I just figured I would venture in here and say how much we at Dualistic Unity appreciate you, Amanda. We really appreciate just everything that you've brought to the table. I know it's not easy because you have been fielding two jobs now for quite some time, and we know what that's like just from our first year going into this. And so we really appreciate the time that you put into this. I appreciate you just jumping into here. I don't know where Jackie is. I'm sure she's doing something awesome. I know they recorded a yoga episode the other day. So I'm very excited for that to get released. There's also another episode coming out later on today. But yeah, you were talking about appreciation. So I figured, well, fuck, what better way to show appreciation than to jump in here and surprise you and make you do the rest of this episode with a little bit of company. Hello, everyone.
Well, I love chatting with you, so definitely I'm glad you're here. I'm laughing because I'm like, I did not see that coming. I was like, okay, that went by faster than I expected. Like, fielding this by myself, I was like, okay, so we don't feel like we're missing our straight jacket as much. And so I was like, okay, we're almost through that. That flew by, and but a wonderful surprise as always. Thank you for joining, Ray, and thank you everybody who was able to watch and everybody in the comments. Your company is very much appreciated and valued, and I'm really glad that I can express that with words and with actions.
I noticed that there was this collective, I don't know if it was a fantasy or fear of somebody like coming to kill you as you were wandering over to answer the door. And I was watching all this play out. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should intercede. This seems like it's escalating quickly. So, but it's nonetheless, I mean, that's kind of going in vain with the whole appreciation thing. Like, isn't it funny how much you can experience when nothing's actually happened? She just went to the door. And a lot of the people watching this were like, oh my God, is she coming back? And whether they were entertaining that seriously or not, there was a part of them that was experiencing it. There was a part of them that was going through that in their imagination and actually having just a little bit of that experience. And I find that amazing because it adds so much to our life. But it's when you take it too seriously that it becomes psychosis.
Yeah, I think that is hilarious, and I think that's or a big contributing factor to that response in the comments is just our Chicken Little culture. The sky is always falling, and we are always on the precipice of like extinction. Like, oh, the sky is falling. Like, it's, I swear to God, Chicken Little syndrome is everywhere. And it's, so of course we think like there's a potential where I'm in a house and like it is, you know, there's a robber or there's a someone's coming to murder. I was like, usually murderers don't ring the doorbell. But 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 and I'm in a gorgeous house in an affluent neighborhood. Like, the highest crime is that they don't pay taxes in this neighborhood. It's certainly not that there's like, you know, somebody's out and about like skulking in the 1% bushes looking for someone to just be in the house by themselves. I'm like, it's why I rarely lock my car doors when I'm in like an affluent neighborhood, because I'm like, and it's not that it's not, definitely that's my assumption that like it's not going to happen. It's just the likelihood of my car getting broken into, especially an older vehicle like I have. Like they're going to go for the Benz before they go for my Camry in most instances, like most of the time. Like, it's not that I have guaranteed people won't mess with me, but I keep in mind a probability. And so I'm like, it's very unlikely that I'm going to have somebody taking me out in this house. And if they came to take out somebody, it'd probably be the homeowner. And if that's the case, I'd be like, you're off their vacation schedule, sir. You need to get your data. You need to get your recon. You need to improve that because you're dropping the ball, sir, or madam, or they, depending on who's got that killer instinct.
Well, it's kind of funny though, because that goes in itself to show what our priorities are, right? Because I mean, if you were thinking about it, it would be easier to steal your car. So if you were going for something functional just to get you to where you're going, you go for that. But if you're looking for something that's like worth a lot, that shows that allows you to show off or anything like that, you're going to go for something pricier and thus riskier because alarms and cops are going to be watching for that car. Whereas, a car that's just functional is less enticing to the ego. So it's really egotistical robbers that you have to look out for. It's the egotistical car thieves that you really like, aha, I don't need, like, that you don't have to look out for. You have no concern from them. But here, that's a great question. Are there thieves that aren't egotistical? Maybe if it's from a survival perspective only. Maybe it's because they're thieving to feed their families. But even then, you go for the pricier cars, right?
Yeah, yeah, that is true. Definitely, if they're looking for like a getaway car, my car's the way to go. If they're looking for like who might have $500 in their glove compartment, my car is definitely not the way to go. So again, it's all about priorities, people. It's all about priorities, and usually, I just think I love that just to make myself laugh. Like, I just imagine in my imagination, there's just people, and they're walking by my car and they're checking out cars. Like, which one are we gonna break into? And they look at my car and they're like, let's pick another one. She's been through enough. I love just thinking that they would just like have pity for me in this in that scenario, which could totally be false. But I love thinking that they'll just be like, not this one, John. She's been through a lot, clearly.
You're not the only person I've seen who's had that assumption, though. I remember there was a house in a town that I was living in, I don't know, a decade or so ago, and the house from the outside looked like the most run down piece of shit that you'd ever seen. Like there was moss growing on the roof, the cedar siding hadn't been changed in forever, right? The lawn was long, like it just looked uncared for. And yet every once in a while you'd be walking by on like a hot night and the window would be open on the front and you'd look inside and it's all new. Like all of it was new. It looked just incredible on the inside and you're thinking to yourself, that is fucking clever. That's very clever. But it's true. I mean, that's the whole thing, that when you're not trying to show it off, right? And you're just like, yeah, I'm settled for the functionality, but then you're actually investing in the functionality. You're not investing in how it looks. You're investing in how well does it suit my life? How much does it get done relative to how much it costs to keep going? You know, shit like that. Whereas a lot of people they'll buy cars just because. Well, I'll give you an example. All of the incredible amount of assholes who own Hummers and never leave a city.
Oh my God. Yes, or like the vehicles that are made for like driving through the mud, like the Jeep Wranglers, and they never leave the suburbs. Like I love that. The off-roading vehicles that stay on road, never get off-road. Oh my goodness, I love that. But it's advice that, my mom had given me, not in terms of the car, but in terms of like, she's like, never judge the way that someone is dressed or how they look if they're wearing name brands, because she's like, the wealthiest people are the people who wear the plainest clothes. For a lot of them, not all of them, but like she's like, a millionaire doesn't look like a millionaire. A lot of times they're investing their money in other things. They don't care about the labels, but the people who want to look wealthy usually are not. And the people who don't look wealthy are the ones who have more money in the bank than they're wearing. And and so like I love my old vehicle. It's like 22 years old and it's gonna run until it doesn't run anymore. And I've invested maybe like 5 grand in the functionality. We got new tires, new rotors, new brakes, new power steering lines. We replaced the windshield. We replaced the back bumper ourselves. We wrapped the car. We are replacing the car headlining. Like I'm investing in all that, and I work in for I do or I manage corporate sponsorships, and so sometimes I'm at an event with the governor of Massachusetts, with the state representatives, and I'm in a gown that costs a few $100, and people will see me step out of my car, and they're like, "Wait, that doesn't match. Like you're wearing a gown, but you're hopping out of like a hoopty." And I'm like, yeah, but I own that hoopty and I don't have any payments on it. And it's going to run for another 5 years. And I don't have to worry that when I take it to the mechanic shop, I don't have to worry about $1,000 computer bill because they have to change the system that's running the vehicle. So no, my car doesn't like tell me what the weather is outside, but it's gonna run, and it's reliable. And I love that vehicle, even though on paper it's not impressive to a lot of people who would rather drive the Benz than drive the Camry, because it means something about them, and they want people to respect them. And it's like, do you actually want people's respect, or do you just want them to give you a good job sticker?
Well, this is something that's pretty common with like people who win the lottery, right? Is that they'll win the lottery and then it's gone. Like it might take a year, maybe two, but they're right back to where they were. You know, and it's because the mentality is, well, now my life is going to be better. Now I'm going to be happy. And so you just keep using that money over and over and over again because that's your silver bullet. Whereas the alternative would be to take that money, invest it in something or save it away, maybe live off the interest, that kind of thing. Live in a way that's suitable where you're not going overboard. But if you want to make some extra money on top, I mean, that's awesome. If you had enough to actually just pay your rent month to month, right, that would change your life. But if it wasn't enough for you, if all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but I need to buy a house and I need to buy a boat and I need to, get 3 cars and all of this stuff, that money's gone in no time. And the mentality is going to make you poor faster than anything else. Like, you're going to have to sell those cars, you're going to have to sell that boat, sell that house, because eventually you're just going to piss that money away because you're desperate for happiness. It's so very interesting. You know, a lot of people go through this, especially as they get older in their lives. They actually get the money that they want, and then they're like, yeah, but now what? Now what do I do? I have nothing to live for. You know, I'm in retirement age, and I don't know what to do except work. You know, because I've always worked to get more, and now I'm at the end of the road. I have all the stuff I want and nothing to work for anymore, and I have no reason to live because it's just me. It's really interesting. Um, Wanted to say to everybody quickly, because it is an episode of Real, and I'm not even supposed to fucking be here. We have a mini retreat coming up February 1st to February 5th in Virginia Beach. Do join us if you can. It's going to be a dope mini retreat. It's a great location. It's right on the beach. I love walking on the beach. There's an oversized chessboard. So if you don't know how to play chess, I will teach you how to play chess. And if you do know how to play chess, then we will play chess, and we might even get some people to help us, because again, we're going to be high. We're probably going to be microdosing, and so chess is always a lot of fun, especially when it's oversized. We have a pool table. We got a bunch of shit at this location. There's a few tickets left, so definitely do consider joining us if you can.
Absolutely. And I very much look forward to the February retreat. And I definitely love what you were saying, Ray, just about how people can make themselves, cash poor or financially poor based on how they spend money versus how they invest. And so many wealthy individuals, when they spend their money, they're not worrying about how much is this going to cost me. They're thinking, what am I going to get for this? What's the exchange? And so many people that aren't financially literate, they think, how much is this going to cost me? Not what am I getting for this? Not what investments is this going to give me, both in the short and long term? And so they view money as very momentary, transactional. It's just how much am I spending, and how much am I spending right now? And but when I think about the way that I've invested in my vehicle, it's a 2000 Camry that's got like 190,000 miles on it, and it could easily go for another 200,000 if I continue to invest in it and get its oil changes on time. And I get my oil changes every 2,000 miles, not every 3 or 4, which you can stretch it. But when you have older vehicles, it's changing out the oil sooner helps with the longevity of your vehicle, and making sure you keep it at a full. Every time my gas is at a half tank, I always fill it up. I don't let it get below a half a tank, and I certainly don't let it go below a quarter of a tank, because that also does damage. It's like just the way that the relationship that we have with things just doesn't always get prioritized. You think of your car as you own it. It's a means to an end, and that means that you do the bare minimum. But if you do the bare minimum in your relationship, you get the bare minimum out of that relationship. And I don't care if your relationship is with a vehicle or a person or with yourself. The but it just, so many people think from how much am I spending, not what am I getting in exchange for this investment. How am I changing as a result of investing in this. And we think that way in our relationship. You think, what am I going to get out of this person, not how, you know what can I give, and what can I be open to receiving from this person, not what are you getting. Like if there's an expectation that has to be met. I watched a TikTok earlier today, and it was a woman was talking about asking her TikTok community. She's like, so my husband signed up for a flower delivery service so that a bouquet of beautiful flowers would get delivered to me every single month, once a month. And it's been a few months and I've loved it, but then the flowers came today and he totally forgot about it. So is my husband just really smart, or is he lazy? And I'm like, you got to be fucking shitting me that your partner thinks, I want to ensure that you get a beautiful bouquet of flowers every month, and she's feeling like that is laziness. Like if her husband is required to buy her flowers because he remembers every single month because scheduling it is lazy. I was like, are you kidding me? Like no one has to buy you any flowers. No one has to do anything for you. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that the other person is now obliged and required to jump through hoops to make you feel like you're loved. I'm sorry, is them not living a whole life with you enough to feel loved? Because, you know, they're making most of their decisions with you in mind, but no, that's not enough. You know, he's being lazy because he scheduled the flowers to always get delivered to her once a month, but that's not enough because he's not the one remembering and he's not the one picking them out. And I'm like, okay, well, let's hope we don't spin this table and see if you're giving that much attention to the way that you're caring for him. Because people are so quick to say, oh, the other person's not doing enough and they're doing the bare minimum. And or they think that even if they're not doing the bare minimum, they're doing it because of an obligation they think that they have to the other person. They're not cooking you a dinner because they love cooking and this is their way to express that love for you. They're cooking because they have to. It's like when your relationship is full of the have tos, it's rarely full of the want tos.
Yeah, and often it's tricky on the other side of that because while you want to express love in in the way that you are seeing they are not expressing love, the fact is the love that you can express at that point is setting a boundary, is actually putting distance, is actually making them deal with their own shit. And so that doesn't feel good, which is how you often know that it's the loving thing to do. You're like, I don't want to do this. I know I should, but I don't want to. And you know, you do that for sure because that's the reality of love, right? Is the willingness to be honest, the willingness to set a boundary, the willingness to recognize that people need space. So that said, I was just told that we are seeing episode 6 or episode 9 of season 6 being uploaded at the moment. That is great because we are talking about love in that episode. So that'll be a great one to be released. This has been fun. I've never been on an episode of Real before, so this has been kind of cool to just jump on here spontaneous like nobody saw that shit coming. Don't know when it's going to happen again. Who knows? Next time, well, Jackie's just going to fly into an episode of Raw or anybody. Fuck, who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun being here with you, Amanda. Thank you everyone for having me. I appreciate all of your welcomes in the comment section and of course just tolerating the fact that I'm kind of in a goofy mood at the moment. A lot of good shit's happening in my life, got a bunch of shit done, and so I'm feeling kind of relaxed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being the surprise on Real and for joining. It was the people, everyone in the comments definitely kept me company, and we were making magic, making the most of it, and you just added to that. So thank you so much, Ray, and thank you everybody for joining us for DU Real, and we'll be back. Well, someone might be back next Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I can't even say definitively who, but high
It
chance
could be
that
you, listener.
which is funny, but not a joke. It's not a joke. It absolutely, because at any point I could have put the restream link in the comments and said anybody can join. So that'll be something to keep in mind going forward. But thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We do have a Patreon call this Sunday, tier 2 and tier 3. And so I'd love for you to make it if you can. And if not, we do have the free public Zoom every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So if you can't make it Sunday, hopefully you can make it one of the 5 times each week.
Bye, everyone.